So far in this series, we've looked at a bunch of rocks that polished really well. But surely there were some duds in the batch, right? Let's take a look at some of the rocks that I almost didn't bother moving on to the next polishing stage and decide, were they duds? First up, this one has this kind of cool zebra stripe to it. It's looking okay after a week of tumbling, but look at all of these little fracture lines and holes over here. Depending on how deep they go, they might be an issue. After 3 weeks of tumbling, I'm pretty sure these fractures and holes aren't just surface level issues. There's no reason to keep torturing this rock. Let's move it on to the polish. I was surprised by how shiny this one came out. Unfortunately, polishing it also highlighted a lot of those fractures. And then on this flat side, you can really see that there were still some pock marks that didn't polish at all. This next one, I couldn't match up with the original rock, but after a week of tumbling, I'm really worried about all these holes. I did give it 2 more weeks, and I got a nice shape at least, but those holes just look awful. And the rock looks like it might be a little bit crumbly near some of them. Holes can be a problem for two different reasons. One, they can hold on to grit between stages. And two, well, this one's a little bit more clear once you see what this one looked like polished. Depending on the shape and the size of the holes, they might just never let go of the polish. It's sad because the pattern along this side of the rock is pretty cool. It would have been really nice if this had been perfectly smooth all over. Here's another rock that looks pretty similar to that first one we started with. This time though, if we zoom in, you can see that there are some holes. Still, I gave it 5 weeks in the tumbler. But it's clear those holes aren't going anywhere. So on to the polish. Better than expected, honestly, but again, the holes are really distracting. Either polish is still stuck in there, or the light is just hitting it differently on the edges and it makes the holes look weird. Let's take a look at this fourth rock. After a week, it looks very grainy. Over the next several weeks, that graininess does clear up a bit, but even with 4 weeks of tumbling, it's clear this rock is never going to have that nice, perfectly smooth exterior that I look for. It's just always going to have some texture to it. I was a bit surprised that this took a shine at all, but it's also a bit of a visual mess. Those grainy spots held onto the polish worse than the last one with the holes. Now this black rock looks a little bit different than what we've looked at before. 1 week in though, and I'm starting to see some potential issues. See these tiny white spots? I'm worried that I've got another rock that's going to be covered with these teeny tiny holes. After 2 weeks, I decide I'll just go ahead and move it on and see what happens in the polish. This time though, the surprise was really nice. It isn't perfect. You can still see the holes, but it's nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be. And it took a wonderful shine. Now, here's another one that I could not match up with the rough rock for the life of me. Let's look at how it changed over a few weeks of tumbling. I liked the size and pattern at this point, and I was worried that the holes and the fractures you see here were just too deep and too severe for any amount of tumbling to ever smooth it out. So I moved it on to the polish. And those imperfections are still there, but I did get a good shine on the part of the rock that I liked, and the rock is still pretty big, which is what I wanted. So what'd we learn, and which ones do I think are duds? Well, the big lesson is watch out for rocks that are peppered with small holes. And if there's a grainy texture, polishing might not be worth it. But we also learned that rocks can surprise you. Sometimes they'll turn out better than you expect. So if you have the time to clean them and the space in your tumbler for them, sometimes it might just be worth it to throw them in and take a shot. You never know if they'll surprise you.